Welcome to T-Boys TV. We are back again with another T-Boy Discusses. Obviously, like I said in yesterday's video, if more news comes out throughout the week, then obviously I will do videos about them. And obviously, more news has come out. First thing we're going to talk about is Carlton Morris. Now, I've openly said, I'd be happy, for him to have a move away. I just feel last season it didn't work. Especially when it comes to, being a captain. I just thought he didn't live up to it, if I'm going to be totally honest. But we'll get more into that. But Swansea City have inquired for Luton Town striker Carlton Morris, come out late last night. Obviously, Sheehan is their manager. Was part of Nathan Jones's team when Nathan Jones was at Luton. I believe he was part of the set pieces, if I remember correctly. Did play for us as well back in the day. And it does make sense because when you look at Morris, he's a very good player aerially, especially from corners, he can be good. The problem with him this season for Luton is he's dropped too deep at times, and he's not been in the box and been that presence. But, he could still do a good job in the Championship, and I feel if this is to happen, it could be a good move for him. I'll be honest. I just feel we need to part ways personally. I feel the captaincy with him, he's too reactionary for me. And again, he wants the club to do well, and things like that. But very, very disappointing. For a player that got 20 plus goals in the year we went up, we was thinking he'd do well this year, but he didn't even get double figure goals. That's pretty poor for me. I mean, the Premier League season he was good. Obviously, he was the top scorer for us. So he can definitely get back to a decent level, but I think we need to part ways personally. A lot of our fans, including myself, obviously crying out for a striker anyway. So how would you guys feel if Carlton Morris did depart? Would you be a bit gutted, or would you accept it and move on? Do let me know your thoughts on that. And then the other thing we're going to talk about in this video is Lamine Fanny. Now, obviously, I did talk about him yesterday. Apparently, a lot of La Liga clubs looking at him. Now, it's come out today that Club Brugge and Stoke City, two most randomest teams there, with each other, are looking at him. And they are chasing him, essentially. They've been in contact, both of them. And then obviously he joined us for a reported 3.2 million, 21 years of age, as we know. Now, it looks like he could be leaving, guys, because he's been rumoured with so many, other places. Obviously, the Liga clubs, as far as I'm aware, weren't stated what clubs in La Liga, but, obviously there would have been a few there. Obviously, it's come out today, Club Brugge and Stoke City. Now, again, like I said yesterday, guys, I wouldn't be too disheartened if he goes, because I look at it and I think to myself, we're not using him right. He's actually a central defensive midfielder, but we've sort of been playing him as a cam. But I will be surprised if he goes and Nakamba doesn't, like I said yesterday, because Nakamba's probably and most likely one of the higher wage earners. You also look at the fact that Nakamba's been quite injury prone. You also look at Lamine's played more than Nakamba anyway. The more recent games for Luton, like I mentioned yesterday. I don't know. I wouldn't mind, to be honest. We signed him for a decent fee, so you'd think that we'd get decent money for him. And again, the problem we're going to have, and maybe it could sway Asgard as well with what the Norwegian manager has said, them players might not be determined to play in League One. Stoke, they are an established team. Like, let's just be real with it. As much as, they were in a relegation battle last year, things like that, they are established in the Championship predominantly. So it's an interesting one when it does come to that. I mean, again, I asked the question yesterday, would you guys be disheartened if he did depart the football club? I still feel, and again, I said it yesterday, we need to address that CDM situation anyway. Because obviously we've only got two at the club. I feel one of them will. Well, I thought Nakamba would be the one to go, but it looks like Lamine potentially could be the one to go instead. But if they both go, then we need a massive rebuild there essentially. So yeah, it's pretty interesting news. But yeah, do let me know your thoughts on everything I have discussed, Carlton Morris, would you be open for him leaving? Do you think Swansea would be a good move for him? And if any Swansea fans do watch this, would you be happy to take on Carlton Morris? Because I've seen mixed sort of opinions from what I've seen online. And Lamine, again, like I said yesterday, would you guys be open to letting him go as well? Or do you want to keep him as, you know, he could potentially be a player going forward that could be good, you know, in a couple of years. But the thing I look at as well is, and I think I might have said it, you know, maybe when we played Leeds and drew, you know, you look at Lamine, right, and again, he's had some okay games, but nothing special, you know, and then you compare his performances to Makoso's, for example. You know, the recruitment last year was poor, but one, you know, we can't criticise was Christ Makoso. You know, playing in the Belgium second league, you know, to come in and do what he done. And again, like I've said numerous times, it was a blessing in disguise that Naismith and McGuinness, who at the time, in my opinion, were Luton's two best centre-backs going into that derby away at Watford, you know, it was a blessing in disguise they were injured, because it gave Christ a chance, you know, in the second half. And that day he was up there with Jones, you know, as the best players. The only two good players, really, in my opinion, that day. And he's just kicked on from there on in. You know, that first home game, kissing the badge, showing that passion, showing that determination. You know, it's what we needed, because we were so down and out. You know, majority of the players had such a losing mentality that there just weren't really that, you know, that drive, in my opinion. It was lackluster. You know, last year we had so many away games that were lackluster, you know, and it was just so disappointing, you know. And even the games we did win, you know, sometimes you don't care how you get the 3 points, but even then you're holding on for some of them games. And again, it's one of them where a massive clear out is needed, and some of the bigger names like Morris could potentially be on that, you know, that departure of leaving the football club. And I probably will say someone probably will leave that we maybe might not expect. Like I say, with their Norwegian manager's comments on Asgard, I could maybe see it with him. But again, if you go for him, you've got to pay decent money, because we only got him in January. And things like that. So, and it is the same with Lamine. I know obviously we've got Lamine earlier, but he didn't play till January, and obviously reported fee of what we paid for him. You know, 3.2 million. So yeah, there's also that as well to take into account when it does come to that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, like I say, guys, on everything I've mentioned. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do check out the T-Boy Discusses and all the other shorts out from yesterday if you haven't already. And yeah, like I say, smash a like, subscribe, follow me across all my socials, subscribe to the extra channel. And yeah, until next time, take care and peace.